everyone, this is Mary O'Brien. I'm the State Bicycle Pedestrian Coordinator, and today I'm going to be talking to you about changes in between the 2019 to the 2020 FDOT Design Manual, or the FDM, Chapter 224, Shared Use Paths. The first change that is addressed is in Section 224.1, or General, is that we talk about bicycle facility plans. The new text is here in red. It says it is preferable to plan for shared use paths ahead of time by including them in a district bicycle facility plan. So that's new text that we previously haven't referred to bicycle facility plans before, but what we're finding out is having separated facilities requires a lot more thoughtfulness because you need to pay attention to all the conflict points, intersections. It is a different sort of a design user that we are attracting to those types of facilities. And so with all those things in mind, it really does help to plan ahead and get everybody on board that that is the type of facility that is going to be used, and make sure that all of the different needs that will be need to be accounted for that are done ahead of time. And part of the way to do that is by establishing a district bicycle facility plan. So we hope that that will make it easier to be successful with these. Also in the general section, we discuss context to use shared use paths. The new text here is in red. It says shared use paths are appropriate in context classifications C1, C2, and C3, as it is anticipated there will be a lower volume of non-motorists than there are in other contexts. When a separated facility for non-motorists is desired or desirable in context classification C2T, C4, C5, or C6, consider a separated bike lane with a sidewalk per FDM 223 and FDM 222. So really the take-home point here is that when we anticipate high volumes of non-motorists, both bicyclists and pedestrians, it can sometimes be difficult to have a shared use path, and it can be helpful to separate the two users by having a sidewalk and a separated bicycle lane. Yeah, because otherwise there can be conflicts between the two. So especially where there's more vulnerable walkers, if you know that you might have a lot of that in your area. So people who maybe aren't as stable on their feet, or maybe have low to no vision or anything like that, or just really anyone, frankly. If you're going to have high-speed cyclists and you're also going to have a lot of walkers and there's going to be a high volume, it can be helpful to separate the two so that there aren't either pedestrians feeling intimidated by the bicyclists or just there being accidents, crashes. Also in the general section, we talk about shared use paths to separate for a bicycle lane. So this is a really big change for us. In the past, we've said not to do this, and now we're changing that. So we say providing a shared use path may substitute for a sidewalk in locations where sidewalk is required, and it may substitute for bicycle lanes on roads with a design speed of 35 miles per hour or greater. See FDM 223.2.1, and that's the bicycle facilities chapter, and it talks a lot more about that. Also in the general section, we talk about shared use paths and ADA and FDM compliance. For 3R projects, other than meeting detectable warning and curb ramp requirements, unaltered shared use paths that are not in compliance with FDM criteria or ADA standards are not required to be reconstructed. In the public transit loading zones, we removed a blue box, and we have an entirely new section on conflict points for shared use paths. 224.1.4 conflict points states special attention should be paid to minimizing and managing conflict points along shared use paths. See FDM 223.2.4.5 for more information. We also have a new section called Cyclists Enter and Exit Points. Cyclists should enter and exit shared use paths in a way that avoids bicycling against traffic, particularly at path beginning and end points. And then again, we reference folks over to the bicycle facilities chapter for more information. In the horizontal clearance section, we talk about sign columns no longer having to be 2 feet or more from the edge of pavement. So basically, you can see here that the struck out text is what has been changed. So we basically just removed some text at the bottom of that paragraph there. In the vertical clearance section, a blue box was removed. And in the minimum radii section, we made some clarifications. There was some confusion about this in the past, and so we wanted to help make it more clear by adding the red text. So we specify that the minimum centerline radius of curvature for a shared use path is provided in table 224.10.1. And then within that table, at the very bottom of the table, there's a couple of notes, and we added the second note to say positive cross slopes represent pavement sloped to the inside of horizontal curves. Negative cross slopes slope toward the outside of horizontal curves. In the separation from roadway section, we talk about minimum separation when the shared use path cannot be as close to the right-of-way line as possible. This again was just really a clarification. There was a little bit of confusion, and it was suggested that we add some language just to help clear that up. So at the very beginning here, we say, place the shared use path as close to the right-of-way line as possible or outside the clear zone. At a minimum, provide a separation between the shared use path and the roadway. We have a whole new section on shade consideration. Section 224.18 shade considerations states shade along shared use paths is desired. Consider shade from landscaping and shade from architectural sources such as buildings, pavilions, and shade sails. To maximize shade and minimize costs, begin coordination between the designer, project manager, utilities, district landscape architect, and the landscape's maintaining agency during phase 1 of the design. Choose an alignment of the path that can capitalize on shade from existing and proposed trees or architectural sources. For more information on shade from landscape design, refer to FDM 228, FDM 329, and Work Program Instructions Part 3, Chapter 16. So this is a section I'm really excited about. There's a big difference between being a non-motorist who's outside on our facilities, not in a temperature-controlled environment, versus somebody who's in their car with maybe air conditioning and things like that. So it's really important to take into consideration the comfort of the people using our facilities. And considering we're in Florida, where it's hot most of the year, especially in the southern part of the state, shade is really an important feature for our users. And especially if we want people to be where we want them to be, if we make it comfortable for them to be there, that's going to help. And it really affects the microclimates by having that shade. So we're happy to have that guidance in here, and we hope that others will find it useful as well. And that concludes the changes that have been made in Chapter 224, Shared Use Paths. Thank you.